Wars begin when you will, but they do not end when you please. This quote from Machiavelli is what came to my mind when the bombing started in Iran. Over the past few days, I've seen a lot of confusion as to what is going on and why, and I think I'm in a position to offer some clarity. Because if you read the ancients and listen to their wisdom, a lot of what the Trump administration is doing is not only understandable, but a little bit predictable. And with that, so are the end results. So today, I'm going to be sharing my reflections, and I'll be drawing from three main texts: The Prince by Machiavelli, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and The Iliad by Homer. I don't know if people inside the Trump administration have read these texts. It sure sounds like they have, but I've taken the wrong lessons from them. Hopefully we can do a little bit better. So it follows that a prudent ruler cannot and must not honor his word when it places him at a disadvantage and when the reasons for which he made the promise no longer exist. Machiavelli, The Prince. I've seen a lot of people surprised that Donald Trump would start a war. After all, he is a FIFA Peace Prize recipient and the chairman of the Board of Peace. How could this be? And some people are actually confused or trying to reconcile the hypocrisy of him running a presidential campaign on ending forever wars in the Middle East and starting one. And it reminds me of this conversation I had with someone who couldn't understand why he wouldn't release the Epstein files. This person told me it doesn't make sense. He said he would. The reality is that the reason for which he made both of these promises no longer exist. He doesn't need the votes anymore. And honoring his promise would not only put him at a disadvantage, it might put him in jail. Now, pointing out hypocrisy or reasoning with unreasonable people would do very little. It might change a few minds, but for the most part, we're seeing Republicans across the line fall in line. And a lot of people don't understand this either. But this is what the Trump administration understands. Machiavelli says, "A certain contemporary ruler, whom it is better not to name, never preaches anything except peace and good faith, and he is the enemy of both. So, let a prince set about the task of conquering and maintaining his state. His methods will always be judged honorable and be universally praised." Why? Because in the actions of all men, especially princes, one judges by results, and the common people are always impressed by appearances and results. This sums up the Trump administration, appearances and results, and they often try to merge the two. The problem is, while you can control appearances with the media, which they are very good at, in war, even though they are counting on it, you can't control the end result. I think they are counting on two results: either a quick victory, which is unlikely, or indifference from the common people, which will not last. No nation has ever benefited from a protracted war. War is a grave affair of state. It is a place of life and death, a road to survival and extinction, a matter to be pondered carefully. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. There has not been any careful deliberation or public debate, let alone a vote, to enter this war. And the loophole of not calling it a war but a military operation will not matter in the end. Look at the Russians. They are 4 years into their 3-day special military operation. Now, I am not against war in Iran in every instance. I am against it in every instance here. There is no justification, no debate, no clear and achievable goal, and no viable strategy. Without a full understanding of the harm caused by war, it is impossible to understand the most profitable way of conducting it. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Pete Hegseth does not have a full understanding of the harm he's causing. And this move away from what he thinks to be frustrating rules of engagement are actually a move away, as I see it, from Athena, the goddess of war through strategy and competence, to Ares, the god of war through chaos and cruelty. For me, Hegseth is the Christian version of Ares. Right? And in the Iliad, Zeus tells him, rivalry, war, fighting, these are the breath of life to you. Of all the gods who live on Mount Olympus, you are the one I hate the most. And when Ares is on a rampage, Zeus will say, "Send Athena. She's used to bringing Ares terrible grief." Terrible grief. I think this is what this whole endeavor will lead to. Supplying an army at a distance drains the public coffers and impoverishes the common people. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And this is the end result. Even if the US wins and appears invincible, the same common people who are so impressed by appearances and results will find themselves being pressed and paying as a result of it. None of the people benefiting from this war will ever fight or suffer in it. Instead, a 19-year-old Lance Corporal from Kentucky will get hit by a drone. His family, drowning in debt, will be hit with high gas prices, while families in Iran mourn their children under a cloud of toxic gas. Sun Tzu says, "A ruler can bring misfortune upon his troops by ordering them to advance or retreat when they should not. This is called hobbling the army, but we call it a quagmire." Because of Iran's terrain, advance will not be possible unless at great cost. And because of the economic importance of the area, we can't afford to walk away. We don't know what victory looks like, and no matter how many Ayatollahs we take out, the Iranian government knows how to avoid defeat. We can declare victory all we want, but the reality is that the enemy gets a vote too. I think the problem is that if the people in the Trump administration read these texts, they are reading them as blueprints when they should be reading them as warnings. Sun Tzu's point is that the ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. The opening line of the Iliad talks about the cataclysmic wrath that caused immeasurable pain and sent so many noble souls to Hades, not the souls of evil, wicked men. And Machiavelli starts The Prince by saying, all the states in the past and now have either been republics or principalities. I shall leave out any discussion of republics and only deal with principalities and how those can be governed and maintained. When asked which of the two systems the United States would be, Benjamin Franklin said, "A republic if you can keep it." And I would suggest we are not being governed as one. The Prince is a warning and a great example as to why we don't want principalities. Their natural end result is a system that breeds political action that impoverishes the common people. That is why our republic states that only Congress has the authority to declare war. Congress has abdicated its role. We cannot afford to do the same. In a republic, the way I see it as a citizen, you have three responsibilities: to be properly informed, to participate, and to defend. I'm doing the first one and asking you to do the second, because doing the first two is the best way to prevent having to do the third, either at home or abroad. It is going to be a long road until the midterms, and a long one after those. I would encourage you to take this time to know your rights, know your responsibilities, and know the method of your foe. Because if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the outcome of 100 battles. You may not have wanted a war to begin, but you do have a say in a vote as to how it ends and when. So please use that.